up, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of Two Sisters, One Book. I'm Karla.
And I'm Amanda. We're two sisters, two moms tackling one book at a time.
Ooh,
Ah,
we've got the
wow.
next 5 chapters we read. Those were exciting. I liked those. I really enjoyed um, the history of the war. I think that was probably my favorite part out of all these chapters. What was your favorite part?
Like the whole 5 chapters were amazing. I did like the history and how it started, and everybody clearly knows who the Ashenarrows are. And I did like to see that our Lyra is noticing love is all around her. Like, and all these people have been in war from Furman to finding love in war, to her brother finding love in war, to Miss Kincaid finding love in war. And then she looks over at Evander and she had to like stop herself. But we do get history about Evander too, which was really sweet, which I feel like that kind of earned her to have more respect for him in a way too.
Yeah, I gave him brownie points.
Yeah, it gave him brownie points, which he desperately needs. So we're
Yeah,
moving.
I think it opened up her eyes to he's more than just in her eyes an annoyance, and she saw more of a I guess 'cause he said he wasn't a general, but he was more of a leader out on the field, and that's what she's known for. So I think it kind of gave her a little bit of like similar ground that she could work with him, and I thought that was kind of sweet, and I liked it.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to him though, because he did say he was hurt, and now he can't use his powers, so he doesn't heal like how he's supposed to. And then he is
Mhm.
scared because it does seem like he kind of abandoned his men.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, but she even said like his men joined her troops. They all have respect for him still, but they all called him commander.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
very interested to see if we get a little deep dive into that. But then that's how we know that that's when their connection and when he started being able, because they were so close with each other. So
Hmm. Yeah.
it's like all
Proximity
coming
wise, they were
together now.
close. Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked that. I am very curious to know about, yeah, his powers, because maybe that feeds into a little bit of him maybe being a shifter or having some type of power that obviously has been diminished, and that would be maybe why they do have that connection. Because I know we've been talking a lot about him being a shifter. Obviously, we know that, but we don't know his power. We just kind of assumed he didn't have power because of his gray tunic. But maybe that's kind of what led to all that.
Yeah. So I'm hoping we get a little more of his story. I did like to see an old friend. So this is how far back they go. So when they made it to Cinder Point, it looked kind of like a war broke out there. If you really, the way I read it, it's like they were attacked, but their walls were so big that nobody was able to go in because there was like a carriage there that still had trade on there that was knocked over. The guards were on high alert. And then they said the name and they're like, oh, yes, come, come, come. But it was a ghost town.
Hmm.
So were the lions there like coming? Because that's when everybody was all like, oh, the lions have won. So now everybody's like terrified. It's just like you still have all these, you could have kept fighting. So,
Hmm. Can I say I really thought this guy Famir was gonna be like some guy that like Aldi had met when him and Nadia were off. Remember, because we talked about this last
uh,
episode, and we're like, maybe they like, are teaming up with the king or something. And I thought, oh, maybe this is Aldi bringing Lyra to the enemy now, and that's why
oh
he's like,
no,
who, yeah, like,
that's
where's
scary.
Famir? And I was like, oh gosh, this is where that's going. But yeah, no, I was definitely far off from that. So that was good.
Yeah, he was fighting the battle with them. Apparently they were fighting together at this war, and then when Lyra came to fight is kind of when they all separated type thing. So they all remember Lyra, but she doesn't
Hmm.
remember them, but the name sounds familiar. So it was just very interesting. And I love the stories that they go back and forth about how Famir lost his eye. I'm like, I just want to know the truth. Which one's the truth? Did you like beat yourself up? Because the way he made it sound is like he stabbed himself in the eye on accident.
I was like, what are you doing out on the battlefield if you stabbed your own eye?
Like, he's like, "You were in the way, eh?" Like, I had to, like, pull back really fast, and the hilt, like, stabbed me in the eye, and it's like, "No, that's not what happened. You were in your own way," and it's just like, "What really happened? I wanna know because it's
I
funny."
I think this is your typical there's three sides to every story. So we have Famir's side, we have Aldi's side, and then we have the truth somewhere in the middle there. And I think
Oh
that's
my
probably what
god.
happened.
Well, I hope we get the truth, like, at the very end, like, this is what really happened, like, from the narrator's point of view. Let me go through the story again, you guys. But no,
Hmm.
I just thought it was funny how that story came about, but they were in the stables when they finally ran into each other.
So we see how like Aldi, Nadia, especially those two, kind of dropped their guards a little bit because it was like they see these familiar faces of people who they had been friends with in the past. But we know that Nadia was like best friends with Elia, and then Aldi was really good friends or at least really close with Famir. So I thought that was like really sweet to see like that heart inside of them that they probably only really get with each other when they're behind closed doors fall. And we saw a lot of joking and funniness and kind of just like a friendship kind of not blooming, but kind of reigniting. So I thought that was like really, really sweet to see.
Because they all know who walked into the stables except Lyra, Misk, and Katie. And it was funny how Lyra went straight for her sword, but everybody was just open arms. So I was like, this poor girl is on high alert 24/7. She has trust issues, which we all understand why. But
Hmm.
I feel like if you're in a, well, I think I'd probably still have trust issues. So I'm still siding with her. She's good. She's good. So Famir takes them back to their house. He says that his wife is very excited to see her. Nadia has some words because she just found out that he reproduced with her. So they have a 3-year old and a baby on the way. So I can imagine how Nadia feels too, because that's like your best friend. And she left and everything to go baby this big old warrior who lost his eye and stuff. And the fact that they have a family and everything, it kind of shows you how dedicated these people are, because even with the war you have Kate and Nadia, who truly they seem like they really love each other, but they never once thought to like, let's settle down and have a family. It's always what's the next move, you know?
Hmm.
So when we're at their house, we see like the interaction that not Elias had, or I'm just gonna call her Ella. That Ella has with her little boy. And so, and then
Yeah.
that's when we all get to sit down and hear the story from, so we get to hear the story from Muir of all this stuff, which was
Yeah.
actually really interesting. I wonder if I could pull that back up, because it was going through all the four kingdoms. So we have the Fey kingdom, we have the fire, the earth, and then
The water.
the water. But it was like a
Yeah.
secret meeting once a year, and they would only bring their trusted generals, but it was never the same general twice.
Yeah. And we know, I mean, just look comparing like who we currently have with Aldi, Katie, Misk, and Lyra, weren't, not counting Evander. We know that like Lyra was part of the Fae, right? So which is interesting because it's the elves, right? Like that's where the Fae kind of originated from. And then we have Earth, where we see Aldi came from, and then fire and water, where Misk and Katie came from. So it's like really cool to see their history and everything that happened before them because we didn't get any of that. We just see them and on. So I liked
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, and it was nice because we did hear that the Ashenarrows only obeyed or responded to the Fey Queen. They
Mhm.
they weren't going out of their way for anybody else except for her.
All of these leaders, they said, met on an island, leaders of all of the kingdom of Celestra. So it was like divided amongst the four of them, which was pretty cool. So they had, like you had mentioned, they had a different general every year that would come with them, and it was supposed to like remain private. Like there was privacy. People didn't even know that they would really gather every year. And I think where they would gather was the secret, and everything was really hush hush. And the whole point of getting together was just to make sure that they maintained the, I guess, alliance that you would call it, together so that the kingdom would remain intact. And we had a slight problem that had
One
occurred
got
with one
greedy.
of yeah one of the generals, and it was the general of the wolf shifter. who was who had control of the earth that they said could like move mountains and stuff like that. And he clearly had decided that he was going to take over. And he came in one day and he took out all the leaders. And he told all the other generals who were there amongst their leaders that you will basically be under me. And he was going to be the new leader. And from that point on, he was known as, what was he known as, Amanda? The Lion.
The lion. Yes, the lion. And it was crazy though, because it did take their people a couple of weeks to notice that their leaders are gone.
Yeah. Because
So
they
he
were
kind
supposed to
of
go
did
back
it.
and, yeah, just remain like your leaders are still around. Don't let them know.
Yeah, so he kind of had the upper advantage, and then he was slowly taking them out. And the Ashenarrows wanted to knock it out first, get it before the war even started and everything. And they were they were attacked. I thought they were attacked on the island. That's why everybody thought it was shocked because the ports were closed. It was in the dead of winter.
Hmm.
There was no ships able to get to them.
Yeah,
But
they
yet
were.
somehow he did. So I'm like, oh, he was
Mhm.
betrayed. I know that family was betrayed and it was an inside job too. So
Yeah. Well, because
it's just
whenever the leaders went to this meeting where they would meet once a year, they would leave like a higher up family in charge of their area, right? So these families were basically, I guess you would call them as like substitutes for the leaders in command. So people would then have to listen to their leadership and everything. And so when the powerful people didn't come back because we know that this specific general had taken everybody out, all the leaders, then when the generals went back, it was like all of a sudden now these high up families were in charge. And of course, we know that the king or the lion, well, I'll call him the lion. Of course, we know that the lion guy was not going to allow that. So he told everybody, you all need to fall under me and I will be the leader. And if you don't, I will take you out. And yeah, he did.
and
And
everybody in your line. So he
yes,
was gonna wipe the entire line out.
yeah, which
Crazy.
is scary and intimidating. And I can see
Yeah.
why families just cowered down like, okay, I'll follow you, and some didn't and they saw the repercussions of that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people lost their entire family. And then some people just I felt like they were cowards and went along with it. But I love the way he explains, like after all that, he was describing Lyra. Like there is gonna be one that's gonna come and save us and be powerful and strong because every 100 years this is what is born. And I felt like when he was saying that, because even A looked at Lyra, because it was describing Lyra, I feel like he had hope that at least one child wasn't dead. Because I feel like word did get around that they couldn't find the daughter, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
So
which it does, because at first I was wondering, I'm like, well, we know that Aldi knows who Lyra is, and we know that Mira knows who Lyra is. And those are the only two people that know Lyra's true identity of who she is. So yeah, I just wonder if when Famir looks at her, if he knows that she could be potentially the daughter, or if he has absolutely no idea, because they're speaking almost as if they're kind of telling Lyra without telling Lyra, like, you're important. I know
yeah.
you don't know that I know who you are, but you are important. That's kind of how I read it.
So I always wondered though, I was like, okay, so this was dead of winter, right? And then the little 18-year-old boy was going to the market to get food and came back to a complete slaughter, right? So
Hmm.
can you imagine someone who knows this family, someone who trades with this manor, going in and out or whatever, if people just came and they're like, we found all the dead bodies except for one, right?
Hmm.
Because I wonder if that's why he's like already like all the rumors have passed and then they finally got to the lion and the lion's like, oh, I'll just let it go. But then people are still talking. And then he's like, what if they didn't kill the girl? Like, let's try to
Hmm.
find, because now they're looking for a 24-year or someone who's like 30 and or whatever. They're trying to find a very powerful person because what if it got passed down? So I was wondering, I'm like, what if there's been rumors that like we didn't find the daughter? Like we found the
Hmm.
boy, we found the dad, we found the mom, we found the servants. Hence why, well, no, because Mira made it out too. So I don't know. Never mind.
But Mira wasn't part of the family. Mira was
But
just one of the like
yeah, the servants.
helpers. Yeah.
Yeah, but even the all A's parents weren't part of it, but they were hung, they were slaughtered in the kitchen. The mom was the kitchen person and all this stuff. So I was
Hmm.
just wondering, like maybe there was rumors going around like we found the entire family except for the little girl. Like where's the little
Yeah.
girl, you know?
And I think the king does know. I think the king, he doesn't know Lyra is Lyra, but I have a feeling that the king knows that Lyra is out there somewhere
The
and that
little girls survived.
yes, I think he knows she survived. And I have said this before and I'll say it again. I think this entire testing process and everything is meant to pinpoint exactly who Lyra is. They can hide behind the fact that they're trying to say, oh, well, we're just trying to make sure that everybody's in the correct rank and that they're wearing the correct uniform. It's like, no, you are out there searching for somebody, just like you wanted to make sure that you were in control of all of those other people. Yeah, so I do believe that that is what this is all for. This is all about trying to find Lyra. And I do think he's going to find her. But I do think it's a little harder since the fact that Lyra hasn't really shown her powers yet. That I think she is going to have them. I think she is going to have some type of air or what we had mentioned before, dragonfire air. I think that's a high possibility.
I always
But
think
yeah.
now that when the gust of wind or something happens to her, I'm like, what if that's her mom telling her I'm with you or like her power is like
Hmm.
coming out? But I don't know.
Hmm.
But as you
Did you
brought up the
go ahead?
I was gonna say, as you brought up the testing site, we could clearly see that Lavin Kit was the first one. They butchered
Hmm.
it. Rumors spread already that people died. So that kind of brought fear back because now it's like people are going to start knowing that not everybody died in the dungeons, that they escaped. What was the other one that's on full lockdown? One.
And I think the reason why Riverton is locked down is because they're preventing people from leaving. Because if you look at the map, you can see that that is the way out, unless you get on the boats and like head out. Riverton is their exit into the next like area over. So I think the point of locking down Riverton is to ensure that nobody leaves. And I think that's why they are very nervous about going there because I'm sure you're going to have the king and all his guards there monitoring every person and probably wanting to figure out who they are and they're not letting anybody leave. So their biggest thing is they're going to travel around, which probably will take longer in order to get to their destination.
Yeah. So,
But did you also notice that in the story that Famir was telling them how he mentions the fire and it was like what was here let me look. The name of the name it was oh, it says the Ember Sovereign,
yeah. And
which
our guy
Ember.
calls her Ember.
Yeah. Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that just a happy coincidence or is there some possible connection there? Like, could he be connected or could she be connected?
Or maybe he could see something inside of her. So he sees the
Maybe.
Ember.
Yeah, very well could be. So, yeah, I just thought that was an interesting choice of words that he calls her Ember, but yet we have the Ember Sovereign, which is a fire leader. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. And then I liked
Hmm.
how they get ready, they pack up. You could clearly tell that Lyra has more respect for the horses as they're gathering than Evander ever would have even put together. Like he did not really take in consideration that these horses are his lifeline. Like can you imagine all this stuff you're carrying? Your horse is pulling it and stuff. And I feel like Lyra gave him a little different perspective on life right now for the horses
Hmm.
before they move on out because she's all like, is your horse going to be the only one to pull that wagon? And he's all like, it's just a horse. Like, yeah, he will. If your horse isn't going to help, then yeah. Which for a
He's like, "Are
second, I
you
really
offering up
thought
your
he was going to
horse?"
be like, I'm going to shift into something to help it. So I wonder if he has like a little bit of power though to help ease that wagon for the horse, you know?
Well, we do know he has some power. We just don't know what it is because supposedly it has diminished since he
Since he
got
got
hurt.
hurt. Yeah.
But what is it that he got hurt? That's what I'm so curious about is like, what could it have been that would have minimized his powers? You're like, when I
Mm,
think of you getting hurt, it's like, okay, your leg broke or something happened. But like, no, we're talking about like something to the point where it cut him off from his magic.
I feel like his magic is even a superpower healer too, because he even said he doesn't heal the same way. So I wonder if he got
Mm.
stabbed with something, like or poisoned, or like a piece of him was taken, you know, like
Hmm.
hopefully we do get a little bit of more information.
Which could also make sense why he's a healer, like why he works as like the head healer, because that could have been something that he needed to be able to help balance him out. Like he was healing people. Maybe his power did have some type of healing ability. And this is his only way to still be a part of that.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be very curious. But I do like
Hmm.
their adventure. How long were they gone for? Or how long were they traveling? Like 3 days, 4 days. But you can see that everybody's starting to loosen up, relax, enjoying themselves. Cause even like as we end the last chapter, they were down by like a river or a lake catching fish and all that stuff. And Misk loosens up and he just seems like a big goofball situation down there, you know?
I love that he tried to catch a fish and like completely missed and then just falls in the water and he comes
I
up
know.
fishless.
So embarrassing.
Like they would seem like a fun group of people to like aside from the war, like sit there and just like chill
Hang
with
out with.
and tell
Yeah.
stories. And yeah, yeah. And it's cute
Yeah.
because it's like coupled, right? You've got Aldi and Nadia, and you've got, you know, Misk and Katie. And then I feel like we're gonna start to see a little bit of a shift going on between Evander and Lyra. And we see that Lyra, I mean, she even kind of glances over at him and he catches her looking at her. So it's like there's
But
something
she keeps
forming.
fighting herself. She's just like, and then I looked
Yeah.
away or I pushed it off. But she still is kind of a jerk to him, like slowly but
Yeah.
surely.
But
But
it's
I
like,
think
how
it's
long
because
can
she
you
likes
push him
him.
away for? You know, how do I mean, you can only push him away for so long. He's there with you. He's clearly not leaving, you know? I mean, I don't know.
I think
I'm
she deeps down she does like she's starting to like him because even when they were at the house watching the family and everything, that's what she wanted and she looked at him, you
Mhm.
know? So I
Yeah.
think she is, and she's just probably scared. But I think the
Yeah.
more, I feel like we are going to know a little more of his story and the war, a little bit more to understand more, because I think that's when she's going to start having the respect that she needed to find for him, for her to be like, let go and fall in love.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows, maybe because they're mated that he needs her to bring his power back and maybe she needs him to kind of
Maybe they're
pull his
together
power
and
out,
they both release their powers because now they're
right?
together, you know, and then her
Yeah.
power is going to come full force, his power is going to come full force, and the king's going to find her, but it's going to be too late. She's going to be
Hmm.
too powerful with her mate on the side.
Well, and like, let's think about it because even when Famir was telling her, like, we're just waiting on that one person who can really take down the king, I would think at this rate, Lyra is not capable of taking the king down because, I mean, really, nobody has been able to do that so far, but maybe they need somebody with her kind of power. The one person who gets a new power every 100 years could be the only person that could take him down.
So
And we
how
know
old
that,
were her parents?
I don't know if they say how old her parents are,
So has it been 100 years and they're just like the Fae that we've always known, and they're like a couple 99 years old, and then she had a baby at 100 years old, and oh,
right?
there's Lyra.
No, but I think that's maybe something where they don't know. Maybe they don't know that the person who does get the powers can reproduce that power out because, I mean, they haven't really said about anybody who has previously had the powers, but I would think that because Lyra's mom procreated and had her, that that would mean that there is a possibility that she could potentially have this power. And maybe nobody knows. Maybe that's why everybody's freaking out because they're like, we don't know if it's possible for her to transfer that power that she was granted. Or maybe it's something where, and this again is kind of far fetched, but I don't think it really would happen, would be like Lyra's mother's mother had the power and gave it to Lyra's mother. You know, like, I don't know. It's just, we
But
don't
then
have
she
enough
mated with
information.
another powerful, like dragon fire
Yeah.
guy who's very
Because,
powerful. So then it was like, oh,
yes,
let's get it in the bloodline, pass it on.
because
So I wonder if the son had any, was going to have special power too, you know?
he could have been leaning more towards like the dad because we know that Lyra's dad was Dragonfire and that was the strongest of the fire power is what they kind of said. And then he married Lyra's mother who had the new power that was granted to her that's only granted every 100 years to somebody. And it's usually the way I took it is it's something that's really strong. So we know this air power is really strong. And then they came together and had children. So it's like you have two really strong powers. How could that not transfer? to your
Yeah.
to your your children. So I don't know, but I do think that Lyra has powers that haven't manifested yet. And I think even when she went and got tested, they were like, okay, something is different about this girl, but they didn't know what. And I think that maybe her either being close to Evander as a mate, maybe that's why she has a mate, because she needs the mate to like bring out her powers or something. And that's why she was granted a mate when normally she wouldn't. I don't know. There's a lot of theories. There could be so much happening, and I have no idea.
I know, I'm excited for it. But every time I feel like a breeze coming on, and because, she mentioned it at the testing site, she mentioned it at the healer site, she mentioned it just now when she walked out of
Hmm.
the cabin and
But the
everything. So I'm
air
like,
blew her hair.
I was
Hmm.
like, is that your mom or is that like you? Like, I need to
Like her
figure it out.
powers are starting to manifest. And I think the more she fights against Evander, or the more she fights against the possibility of what her past has, I think she is holding her powers back. And I think she just needs to let go. And I feel like we're going to see one of these things in the near future where she I'm picturing her like, like that, and like arms out, and the power just
Everything
radiates from her.
coming
And then
out.
yeah, and then she becomes this ultra strong person. And I think what's going on is the king is trying to find her and eliminate her before she can manifest and get strong. And I think he knows she's out there. I think he wants to portray an image that the Ashenarrow family is no more. And everybody, you saw what I did to all the strong families. I will take all of them out, or I took them all out, and I'm going to take you guys out if you don't follow under me. And I think he's trying to kind of create that fear, but really his fear, I think, stems from the fact that he probably knows that there's one other Ashenarrow out there, and he has to find this girl.
Yeah, I feel like there's rumors. We're gonna hear that there's rumors that you weren't dead or something,
Hmm. Yeah, there's
Because
going to
what
be
if the
something
snow
going
like
on.
preserved everybody so freshly? So by the time the snow melted and everything, and people were coming back, and then they realized that they were slaughtered and all this stuff, and they're like, "But the little girl is missing." I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm very curious to see if that's even close to what's gonna happen.
I know. I think there's going to be something. And I mean, we could speculate all day on different theories, but the only way we're really going to know is to continue to read.
Next 5 chapters, here we come.
Yes, we're going to do the next 5 chapters. So, yeah, but those were fun. I liked those chapters. Like I said, I'm happy to see them all starting to come together and connecting. I'm even more happy to see that Lyra and Evander are getting a little closer. I think she is starting to kind of drop her walls a little bit so she can kind of connect with him more. And I really enjoyed that history. I hope we get a little bit more history to come of what was going on in the past, because Lyra even says she's gotten a little bit of her history from Mira, a little bit from Aldi, and then a little bit from this story, to where she's able to piece together a little bit more of her past as one big story. So I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Well, let's do it. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we end this episode?
No, but we love you guys.
Hmm. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, make sure you guys hit subscribe. Make sure you like this. Make sure you share it with a friend. If you're watching us on YouTube, hi.
Hi.
And also make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to like this. Make sure to hit the bell so you get the next episode out right when it comes out. And also make sure you guys are following us on social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Make sure you give Elle Clausen a follow, who is the wonderful author of this incredible story. And just so you guys know, there is a book too to this. So
Yes,
be
it's
prepared,
coming.
because I think I think that there may be a little bit of a cliffhanger possibly coming, and I'm going to be ready to read that second book.
So,
But yeah, so make sure you guys check it out. Make sure you guys give her a follow so you guys can stay up to date on all the exciting stuff of not just this book, but her next book that's coming out. So we are really excited for her and all of that. But I guess other than that, we will see you guys on the next episode. Happy reading. Bye.
bye.